we shall have a look at the cards here and see if we have something more to say just for the divine feminines. I do want to make some space, and I think it's interesting also. I have the lioness. I mean, it is a lion, so a male lion, but he is on the divine feminine side here, protecting our energy. Okay, so there's a strong protection from the higher realms. This is my corner of higher realms, and this is my corner of outcome, future, which is of course future. I mean, time is just a thing on earth, but it is like the elevated energy. Okay, so this is the high energy which comes in. This is kind of also our, you know, from the connection, the high energy. And here, this is where our energy elevated moves on into the 3D world then, right? And here we do have the divine masculine and the divine, the divine feminine, and here we do have the divine masculine. So just want to make that clear. And we did have underneath that very deck, where we will draw another card, we do have a fresh start is coming with new opportunities. Nurture your ideas. And I like that because it says nurture your ideas and not nurture your love, right? So ideas, that's thoughts, that's literally inspiration, that's downloads, that's truth, that's just anything. You wake up in the morning and think, oh yeah, I kind of, you know, feel I want to do that. And we have another card, it's this one, and it says, what? Oh, you are more powerful than you realize. It's safe for you to be powerful. I love that. Yes, that's Queen of Wands energy. It's safe for you to be powerful. And this is, by the way, an elemental deck. And this is water energy. So this is kind of your cup exploding, right? Can you see that? It's, yeah. Command. Command what you want to do. See? Usually we see water as this kind of contemplation, meditative, being immersed, you know, being silent, being within ourselves, listening to the moon. But water is also this. It's like, push, creating huge waves. I mean, the tail of a mermaid, it can do some things, right? It can create huge waves. And the whale energy also, with the wisdom from the deep waters, it can create huge, huge bubbles in time, I'm hearing, of course also in space, and of course also it can pierce through the BS. So wonderful, I love that. So we keep that here, and that's all we need from that deck. Now they say we take this one. Okay. Oh, it's a little bit too big. Let me see, how can we shuffle it best? Like this, maybe. Ooh. This one wants to be here. Oh, nice, yes. So it's a 10 of quilts. That's the 10 of swords, right? And this is Phoenix burning down to ashes, right? This is letting the old contracts go. And with 10 of quilts, it's like 10 contracts. It's really about a long journey. It's about, ooh, this one. forces itself on the table. Yeah, justice. Oh, see, and I just mentioned how this happened. Now I understand. Ooh, goodness. So this is crazy. This is kind of, you did yourself justice, I'm hearing, and you ended that. And this is about bad mouthing. This is about falsity. You know how it goes in this game when you speak something in this ear and then this guy speaks in the next ear, and then it goes around. And in the end, the story isn't at all how it is. It's not true at all. It's just all false. This is sometimes also how I'm hearing, like through lifetimes even, karmic energies attach because they tell false stories. And through the false story, they attach because they had your ear for a minute. And then you have it in your head, right? And in your head, you then have to use your discernment with this feather. And you had that. You had your discernment. And you pointed out, no, that's not written on my contract, actually. That's not true. Ooh, see, and we do have here the two sides also, like the game. I love that. Okay. Okay. So I do want to have this here because we need it later. But yeah, let me look at that in detail. Yeah. See, in the back, we do have this figure, like this broken figure there. And they are all talking about that, right? It's really someone's destiny destroyed, I want to say. And through influence, I feel. I mean, you could read, and you can, if you are watching right now, you can like read this card for yourself, however you feel it. But what I'm hearing right now is that it really has to do a lot with opinions, perceptions, and projections upon you, actually, upon your life. People not having your best interest at heart. And, you know, all these kind of energies like jealousy, envy, competition is a big thing also, I'm hearing. And, you know, not everyone is that generous as you are. And if you are a divine feminine energy, you attract, of course, because you are super magnetic and you attract everything. And a lot of people are envious about that. That's just how it is. They are not even, you know, the worst people in the world. It's just how it is on earth. If someone attracts everything, let's say all good guys, you know, in your teens are looking at you, of course, the other girls are like, don't like that so much because this guy, he rather should look at me, right? Same with money, same with, I don't know, clients, same with clicks on your videos, maybe if you do videos. I know there's a lot going on social media with, it's also like a huge battlefield, of course. And it's just up to you to answer to that or not, right? And you did the right thing. I mean, you took all out. And I can see, you know, no contracts here on the table. Nothing. It's done. Like, it's all out in the open. It's clear. It's clear. And you totally see, well, if they do that because of their own misery. You know, if someone is bad-mouthing you, they don't see you as a bad person. On the contrary, they see you as an aspect of self they just right now cannot reach. They see you as maybe more open, maybe more honest, maybe more. And this is frightening for people, you know, people who always think they have to protect themselves. For them, nothing is more frightening than someone who is really standing there in their authenticity and just don't care if people see how they truly are, because they have no problems with how they truly are. And most people, especially those people who talk constantly, they have huge problems with who they truly are. That's why they talk so much, to kind of shift the perception and to project all the time. You know, that's also this narcissistic paradigm, of course, where the narcissist feeds off the difference he puts onto you. So someone would say, like, you're that bad, and in this very moment they feed off the difference, and you must not be a full-blown narcissist to gain, to have that gain. That's just how it works. You know, the very moment you put someone down, you gain from that difference. And that's what we are also called not to do with the Divine Masculine Collective when they come back. But also, of course, we are not allowing them to put us down. Of course not, right? Because justice is the thing here. It's all about divine justice. And yeah, there's a lot happening in the stars right now, a lot, with karma. I show you in a minute also an astrological chart of this day, and it has aligned. I mean, the energy has aligned since, I don't know, 2 weeks or so, and it was crazy about divine protection the last week. So the last 2 weeks were really crazy. I don't know if you felt that too. Please say that if you feel comfortable with that. But yeah, I literally felt literally an angelic army like around my house, and like creating a thick wall of energy, which is always a sign that something is going to happen, right? Something that really can change the world, actually, can really shift timelines. So whenever you feel that, then just know. And in these times also, you will feel just the need to cleanse a little bit. And oh yeah, I also feel like I do want to have another incense here. With this energy. All this dark energy spoken over you, right? It's really the spoken word, totally. It's all about the spoken word. And maybe even in this connection, you know, maybe you were totally misunderstood. Maybe someone said, "Ooh, you know, they are hexing me," or whatever, and you never did anything, because this divine connection is felt. Like it is felt. 333 right now. It is felt in the physical body, and this can easily be misunderstood as a hex or something, as, you know. Yeah, and we know you do come with a pure heart, because it is saying it on the card. I'm called to read that again, because now that we have addressed all these bad things, then literally it causes us to rethink situations, maybe people, and always, you know, if you listen to subliminals that are doing cord cutting or whatever, you will see images in your head or have memories of people, maybe even from childhood, maybe a classmate. I had that literally with classmate, and I was like, what? I thought she was my best friend. But no, actually, she always just wanted to be like I am. That's why she clung to me, you know, clinging on. And that's shocking sometimes. And we do have that in our family, of course, also, you know. There are so many movies around these topics with cousins and step families and all this mingling together. And there is so much jealousy because our families these days, you know, we really need to reinstall these laws, these where it's really about, not about personal preferences all the time, but really about, you know, family is family, and everyone, you know, has the same cup which is filled daily. And that's actually not what's happening. You know that, you know, there are always a lot of manipulation is going on in families, from parents to their children and whatever, where, or, you know, with aunts or just whoever is interfering, where it's a lot about getting something out of someone, with creating preferences and lobbies and whatever. So hopefully I will manage that here. That's really not so easy for me because of my eyesight. I'm sorry, but I do want to put it there. I really do. Please. Mostly, if something is not working, it's not meant to be, right? So you can go there, and we are still cleansing. I understand. So we are not done with that energy. We are not done. And here has a card peeked through. I will read that instead of the other. I guess that what was the whole thing. Oh yeah, it says the Lost Empire. Yes, so this speaks a lot about family betrayal and all that, and it might be even, you know, past life stuff or whatever. It must not be something in your current reality. But these soul contracts, they are grasping, they are how can we, what's the word? Woven together, I meant to say. So it's all woven together, right? And the threads of fate from previous times and parallel times, it's this fabric of fate, right? And a lot of ancient cultures describe that. And yeah, in the Norse mythology, for example, it's the Norns that are weaving constantly. And there is one weaving the past threads and one weaving the future threads, and yeah, the present, of course, also. And we know that we can change everything through the here and now moment with giving acceptance or not. You know, you can literally, if you let's just stick with the very simple and soft example, I hope, with a friend from school who really wasn't our friend, right? And that would mean that we were, that energy was stolen over kind of a long period of time, I want to say. So if you always had supported that friend and they would kind of give you always back only a placebo cup, right? A fake cup where nothing is in it actually, and you haven't recognized that, then after that, of course, you feel betrayed, because it is, of course, a betrayal. And so what can you do? You can take your consent out of the situation. And there are also meditations here on YouTube where you can do that then in a meditation, where it's really about retrieving your energy, you know, just call it back in. And that's these energies. That's what that's about. It's all these small and big things where someone has taken from you under false pretenses. And again, we have these words of, you know, and words are not actions, right? So it's like saying, I am your best friend, but then they never act on that. And that's hard. I mean, our heart kind of collects all these disappointments, all these quilts here, all these false narratives, you know, we got from people. It's not always love. I mean, romantic love. It all taints our heart. It all puts weight in, right? And you know, we work on our heart space until we have resolved all that, and until we feel again like light, right? Alive, light as a feather. And in these huge counterpart connections, just imagine there are like, I don't know, countless lifetimes, timelines woven together again, where you experienced things together, and a lot of bad things, of course, right? A lot of, because that's just life. I mean, and in a lot of timelines, we know that we weren't able to choose at all. You know, they say the Lover's card is about choice. And what choice actually is it? Can we have the Lover's card again, please? Maybe. Where are you? It's the choice. You know, we spoke about that. This is a divine love, and it's the choice for love. The volcano in the back, by the way, that's a sign of Venus, Venusian energy. And so this is, yes, I choose the heart over reality. And that's what these divine connections are for. They have the purpose to break us free from reality, you know, from all these, okay, how does it look from the outside? That's why all these spiritual counterpart connections, they do have a lot of things in the exterior, like age gap, different cultures, living on the other sides of the world, being not the usual physical type, you know, being not the typical romantic type, so that in the very beginning you wouldn't even see them as that, maybe, right? But after a while you really connect with your feelings, with your emotions, and mostly that's instantly, of course, that's instant recognition that there is something. But of course, this unraveling what that means, that takes time. And especially it depends on how strongly people are woven into the other energies there, right? Where are we? Yeah, he peeks through, yes. How strongly people are woven in here. And this mantra, what he's doing here with his hand, that literally says, only what you can see is real, right? So let's take the example age gap for a minute, because that's very often a thing, right? And so this reality tells you it's more valuable for a man to choose a younger woman because she has more life force. But is that so? Of course not, because it all depends on what's in the cup and how much this cup, the source, can invigorate the Ace of Wands, right? And that's not at all related to external things. That's an energetic response. And this causes a lot of conflicts internally because everyone kind of has this, well, but, I'm told it's like that, and why does it feel otherwise? And then it depends totally upon how much is someone willing and used and has experienced even the ability to tune into the own authenticity and the own, having, and that's just that's just the thing, right? We cannot change and fast forward the process. It's a process to break free from these beliefs. And this is the spiritual path we have signed a contract for. So the main thing in these divine counterpart situations, it's not about the romantic love bond, but it is we have signed to help, to support the other person to break free from false beliefs, from the falsity. And interestingly, so I know we are in the middle of part 3 here of the session, but for me it's a new day. And I do have a bowl with some dices and playing items to just, draw from that every now and then for a reading or for a session if I'm called to. Just like charms, I use them because there are like different messages, of course, coming through. And this guy here was fallen out of the bowl and he was lying right in front of our table. And I didn't even saw that we had the chess game here. And see, and this is a process, of course, for the divine counterpart who is kind of used to play more in this energy, because that's where we get the ego, how's it called, when the ego gets affirmed and we get this, through status and all these things that are not coming from the pure heart, but that are just, you have this external validation. And then you learn to play in this energy to get, as much external validation as you can, because that gives you security and a sense of stability, a sense of being able to protect yourself also. So that's why even people go there, right? And now we have this one. And that's just a page, right? It's just a pawn. It's just a little one now. Because in the area of, in the realm of the cups, in the emotional realm, someone who's used to strategize and use all these mental tactics and techniques to go around the heart, right? To not choose this because this is too dangerous. And I want to say again, with the past life energy here, this was too dangerous in many lifetimes. So there are, of course, linked in every counterpart connections, there are harsh experiences. And that also has to do with spirituality, in some timelines, we had to literally physically get rid of our Ace of Wands to be allowed in a spiritual path, which is a terrific experience, of course, for a male person, right? And then also we have this poverty vows, which is also a horrific experience, and hair is cut and all that, you know, to be allowed in a monastery or a convent, and to take the hair of the woman, of the female. That's really heavy, right? Because the hair, that's our antennas. I'm just drawn to all the rays here. That's how it is, you know. And when I'm channeling like crazy, my hair gets all over the place. And that's why I even sometimes, you know, some of my art pieces show that totally. That was a Lion's Gateway channeling here. Yeah, so she kind of wanted to be here because of the lion here. It's, yeah, and it's this wild hair, which of course is also in typical society often, you know, not valued and even mocked sometimes, you know. But also Hermione Granger, you know, from Harry Potter, she also has this bushy hair, and that's just showing something. That's showing that there is a ton of energy, a ton of feminine energy in there. And yeah, and to sometimes for safety, people had to strip themselves of that identity. And even I just got a scene in my mind's eye shown, you know, in war times, when really women needed to totally shift their identity and mask themselves as a man, you know, as a young man, to escape somewhere, and all these things, you know. So there are a lot of and you know, we are still in that area with all these quilts here that we have openly on the table now, and we can see that, and we can release them then, like bit by bit. But that's a process, of course, right? It's a process, and it needs healing. Yeah, I'm drawn to that. And also, it is a, you know, great, now I understand why we have that one. Okay, so yeah, forgiveness, you know, forgiveness is a complicated thing for us if we have been treated very, very badly, right? Let's just assume we have been treated badly. Oh, I'm not sure. I kind of think we are in the next session now. So I was just about to speak about forgiveness and how that is difficult, of course, you know. And a lot of people say, I just can't. And I can tell you right now how it's always possible to forgive. Because if you are sitting here in this justice, you see, well, I did it right and you did it wrong, right? And in the last session, I spoke a little bit about why people even take on these techniques, these more darker psychological traits, and give in to manipulation and caging their heart space. It's all about, of course, security and protection, because they have experienced so-called love as just as a manipulative force themselves, and that's why they they have only experienced toxic love in childhood, and that's why they are in need to shield their heart space, and that's why they become like mental strategists or stoic people, you know, who really are not moved easily, and they are proud of that also, because, and rightfully so actually, because they have worked hard on not losing themselves in toxic love and manipulation, which is a thing too. We spoke about that in the very first session. And so how can we forgive if we see that? If we look upon the other side and see the pure human, the little one, the baby, the inner child, just the little baby. And I told you before that when we are born, we don't have our own aura around us, but the first 2 to 3 years we are immersed with the auric field of our mother or our primal caregiver, of course, right? And in these very grounded native environments, babies are actually 18 hours a day on an arm, and of course not only of the mother but of the whole tribe, of the whole inner circle. And so they get all the good vibes, you know, because if someone is tired, the baby is given to the next arm. And so it's really meant to feed all the good energy into the baby and to really keep it safe. But in these single mom households or just one core family and everyone else is far away situations, and especially, you know, in more industrialized civilizations, we have those lonely children rooms where babies are put in, and it's kind of sad that it's unhealthy to keep them close, and that they must learn from an early age to be alone. And so they are put in a bed, which is a dead item, right? In a room which is empty. And yeah, and then a little bit later, to again replace the closeness of the family, they get maybe a pet as a companion. But that's still just kind of, I know you're lonely, and so here you have, you know, a little thing to cuddle now, but I'm still not available for you. I'm still not available to hug you. And that's sad, actually. I always saw that, how the most needed closeness, of course, for a human is a human. And if we don't have that, we feel unworthy on a core level, really. And so people sometimes are given away to kindergartens from a very, very early age, and then they even lose totally the connection to their core family from an early age, and they don't have this protection. And they pick up on everything what's in their auric field, and they identify with that. That's the core thing I want to mention. As long as the aura is open, so up to 3 years, a little human picks up everything around it as if it's him or her, right? If it's taken on as an identity. And that's what is the most difficult to release later on in life when we do healing work. That's where we really need to go in with relaxation work and maybe self-hypnosis or something. It's really deep psychology there, you know. You need to go in the subconsciousness. And a very good thing, of course, is using subliminals for that, and autogenic training also, like really deep meditations, where you put your physical body in a bubble of safety, and then you can just work through things. That's what I did earlier, professionally. And so forgiveness, I feel, if you look with angelic eyes, you know, with the eyes from the other side, then you totally can see, okay, this little human was placed into that situation, and from that place he or she could only develop these traits because these ego traits were literally the only means for survival that were available to develop with these conditions. You know, it's like we have resources, and it's so different, you know, what resources we have. And with resources, I mean examples for behavior patterns. And this has not only to do with the core family, but also with the neighborhood, with the whole city, the whole area, the whole country. And this is again where these different cultures and countries and upbringings and statuses in life come in for a divine counterpart to work through. And it's easy to form a bond and a contract with someone who has similar core values, and that's a classical soul bond, how everyone wants to experience that, what kind of people perceive as a soulmate connection. It's like, yeah, you know, we are so much alike and we share the same values, and that's why. But for example, in a twin flame connection, you would find that not a single value, like superficially in the cup, is the same, but just deep down, the core values, they are same, right? That's same core energy, but everything above that, that's totally different. And that's why a twin flame connection is kind of the fastest way to enlightenment, because what is enlightenment even? What is spiritual ascension even? It means to come back to your own authentic self, which is your core. Again, solar plexus energy here, right? So that's the very purpose. But also, of course, every soulmate connection brings you more there. So it's totally ridiculous to label these connections like a higher this and a higher that, because some patterns you can only resolve with a specific partner who has the same pattern, or, you know, the counterfeit pattern, for example, the antagonistic pattern, so that you really can work it out and until you part ways, right? This would be a karmic partner then, what we call karmic. But I mean, everything is in a way karmic because everything is woven together, and karma is not a bad thing. It just means, it translates to law of action. So what actions you put out, you are not getting back the action, actually, misunderstanding also, but you are getting back the emotional state your action caused in others. So that's why, for example, that's a good example. If you have a company who exploits your employees and even your customers, and you kind of draw from their health, right? And you really exploit them. Those people might be super rich, but you find out that in their family there are severe illnesses maybe, and there are, you know, close family members struggling. And so, yeah, I mean, of course, right? Or cancer is calling, right? And it's, of course, if you deplete life force in others, then that's an energy that comes back to you also. And yeah, so I mean, as divine feminine essence, we know that it's all about nurturing, but we spoke about in the first session a lot that it's not about nurturing everything, but really nurturing the good, right? And so the most powerful move for a divine feminine energy is to say no. And we did that here with justice. We learned that, right? We learned that the hard way, I guess. But yeah, we understood that this is a valid sentence, right? No. It's just a no. And yeah, door is closed. It's black, right? So, and a lot of divine feminines were, of course, raised and conditioned to always say yes, to always be the nice person, to always be kind, especially, of course, you know, females. Anyways, we spoke about that. It's not very well accepted that girls are angry or, you know, fight for their rights. But yeah, I mean, you got that. And we do have this lion energy here. I wanted to say lion. So that's very much about leadership and confidence and self-sustainability and claiming, you know, claiming your realm. And I feel you did that. And I feel you claimed kind of timelines over timelines over timelines, which makes so much sense. And so back to forgiveness. So that's how you do it, right? You forgive because you understand, well, it's not the human that did me wrong, but it was actually the darkness that was still attached. It was entities taking over. Wherever there is a toxic black hole and it's a not healed pattern, then entities attach. And yeah. And now I'm totally drawn to this a piece here of mine. It is, I hope you can see that. It's a Celtic warrior. And this is deep, deep, deep spiritual knowledge here at work, you know, very deep. You see that with the violet all over the place, but it's immersed in nature. You see that it's woven into the natural, and you know, the Celtic culture has a lot to do with the wisdom of nature, the wisdom of earth, and especially of plants, of the growing earth and trees. You know, the whole horoscope is based on trees, and all these spiritual, I'm just drawn to this ring which I was told to wear, where it's also just, you know, knotted together, woven together, and all these Celtic symbols, they show energetic patterns really based on nature. And so there is coming through a lot with sacred geometry, also just with this card, though it's kind of not seen there, but I feel it, right? It's a lot about natural cycles also, and the balance within that, and the purification process we have with that. We also do have on the feminine side here the violet unicorn, right? And the blue on the masculine side, which is about throat chakra and speaking truth and speaking authenticity, which is what they need to do with all we spoke about. But on the divine feminine side, and even the background here, it's all this, wow, I haven't saw that. See, it's same. It's all this violet and white cleansing. And here, cleansing, raining down. Light into the shadows. See, we do have light and shadows on the table right now. Wow. Yeah. So that's that. And when I stopped the first recording, I was totally reminded here of an angel, and this is Archangel Raguel, who is called the friend of God, and who works with this justice. And I love that that's coming through right now, where we spoke about the tree and the nature, you know, and the Celtic, and we even do have this even cross, which is totally a symbol of the Celtic culture also, on both sides. Yeah. And I do want to just mention a few attributes of Raguel. So he is the friend of God, and he is, he governs justice and harmony and fairness. Fairness, right? Fairness, that's so important. For some reason, it's number 16 in this deck, so kind of a tower, but a good one. And he resolves disputes, right? And brings order into chaos, and he oversees the angels. And his attribute are the scales of justice. That's why he wanted to come through. And I want to put him here together with the Celtic warrior, because it is that tree energy.